Uh-oh.
We'll see if we can get going.
I think, I can certainly share the documents that are up online if he can't, get on the call this way. I can handle that. So, but we certainly need him to hear them probably.
Well, we should have the documents.
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's helpful, I can share them. If not,
I was waiting.
I know quite a bit about the project, so if I can answer questions or I can do some presentation around it, hopefully he will get on. But that would help with the time.
Mr. Gillette, you just let me know what you want
All
to
right,
do.
so look, we waited some time for the other. I don't know. We waited some time for the other members. I don't see them. The other commissioners.
Yeah, we don't have Mr. Coyle and Mr. Ratty.
Right. So I don't know what's up with them, but we do have a quorum. I guess it takes some time for me to read the legal notice. So it's 7:38. So I say we go, right?
Yep.
So are you already recording now?
Just give me a second. I'm going to start.
Okay.
Ken can hear everything we're saying, right?
Go ahead. You're all set, Mr. Gillette.
All right. Thank you. Welcome to the Hillsborough Township Historic Preservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, December 9th, 2020. This meeting will be conducted virtually. The public will be given an opportunity to participate remotely through the advertised Zoom link or optional phone number identified in the public meeting notice. Application documents have been made available at the Civic Clerk website in accordance with the public meeting notice. Applicants will be presenting remotely, identify themselves before testifying. I just wanted to say that first. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Where do we face?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
All right. This meeting has been duly advertised according to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975, Sunshine Law. Notice of the 2020 annual meeting schedule has been provided to the officially designated newspapers, the Township Clerk, posted on its bulletin board at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex, and posted to the Township website. Additional notice has been provided to communicate that this meeting is being conducted according to the governor's executive orders and pursuant to Public Law 2020, Chapter 11, which allows for meetings to be conducted electronically. Since Mr. Stollery isn't here, I'm going to call the roll myself. So if you're present, say here. Mr. Coyle, Mr. Stollery, Ms. Arcuri. Here. Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Ratty. Mr. Cunningham.
Here.
Ms. Gulliford.
Here.
Committeewoman Holmes. And Chairman Gillette here. Okay, we have a quorum. Also, I recognize that Patrick Gorman is here.
Here.
And Fred, the IT guy, Fred Kinsler. I almost
am here.
They're working the IT for us also. Okay, we had some minutes. They were transmitted today. If you had a chance to look at those. If you haven't had a chance, have you had a chance?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if they look to be in order, I reviewed them, went back and forth with Deborah on it to get it right. And if it looks good, I'll take a motion for the minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes are approved. Is there any public present that has an item that's not on tonight's agenda from the floor? I don't think we
Okay,
have
so
anybody.
we have 3 callers in. If anybody on those calls wants to speak on a matter not on the agenda, I think it's *6 or *9 to raise your hand, and then we can unmute you. Chairman, I see none, so I guess we can keep going.
All right. I don't think we have old business at this point, but we can come back to that for any other business that members think of at the end. We can come back to that again. I think we'll go right to applications. We have one application tonight. This is for concerning block 164, lot 2, also known as 890 Amwell Road. This is a pre-application request. The applicant seeking favorable recommendation to construct a covered shed roof addition directly above the front entrance doors on the property in the AG Agricultural Zoning District. It's also property is also identified in the Historic Preservation Plan element of the Hillsborough Township Master Plan, Township of Hillsborough, Somerset County, adopted April 5th, 2001. As this property is located within the Clover Hill Historic District. It's the Clover Hill Church. I just added that myself. So we could get right to the meat of it. So presenting, I know here are Mr. Reinhardt from the church and architect Mr. Quaybeck. So I don't know if Mr. Quaybeck has been able to dial in or get online, but I'll turn it over to Mr. Reinhardt now. And before I let you speak, let me tell you how the pre-application process works. So you tell us a little bit about what your project is. You don't have to go into a lot of detail at the beginning. And the commission will make a determination about whether this project is considered to be a minor project or a major project requiring either a minor or a major application. If it's determined to be worthy of a minor application, we'll hear the application directly tonight. If this were to be a major application, and there are other requirements such as noticing of other properties in the area, possible site visit by members and things like that. So you start off first by, Mr. Reiner, by telling us a little bit about what the project is, and we'll make a determination whether this is minor or major. There you go.
All right, thank you very much. I'll let you know that Ken Quaybeck, our architect, is on and can hear everything we're saying, but we can't hear anything. I've offered him to come here since he lives nearby. Perhaps he can join that way. But let me tell you about the project itself.
Sure.
Clover Hill Reformed Church is proposing to construct a simple shed roof addition directly above the entrance door. And it's for two purposes, safety and protection. See, for a long-term issue related to the flat front of the church is that it's never offered any shelter of people coming and going, nor any protection of the doors, hardware, threshold, or the entrance mat. So we're hoping and seeking those two major benefits with the proposed roof while blending into the existing architecture. So safety for people, for ice, snow, rain at the entrance, we've had a challenging conditions, very long term, that we wanted to correct. This is a great opportunity because we are now replacing the doors, and we'd like to add this shed roof attached to the front of the church. Protection is the old doors have been exposed to rain, snow, and ice, falling directly down the flat front of the church, causing rot, corrosion, weathering, and it's been an aggravating drip line right at the threshold of the front doors. So we've done our best with this design to incorporate into the existing architecture, saving the features of the Gothic arch and the tooth mantle along the top of the roof. If you have access to the drawings, you can see the features of that design.
Mr. Gillette, I'm gonna share it on the screen so we can all see it together.
Perfect. Good.
Greg, you're muted again.
Yeah, you see.
Let me ask one question off right off the bat. So this is something that's gonna, I'm sorry if I don't know the right architectural terms, but it's gonna hang from the building and not supported from underneath by any posts or anything.
That's correct. If
Okay.
you can look at the side view where he's pointing it out there, you see the support structures into the face of the church and sort of cantilevered out design with no poles in the front of it.
We'll have brackets.
Okay,
Just brackets, yeah. Okay, and all the other elements are currently existing, the railing for the on the walkway steps,
Yes.
it's all existing.
Yes, it is.
The only thing is okay, I got you, I see now.
okay.
Okay, so don't say another word, Mr. Reinhardt, right now. I think that's, and I'll ask members if they have any other questions to help them make up their minds whether this would be a minor or a major application. Tim, do you have a question maybe?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay,
uh,
just one. The building itself is not on the, was not in the historic register, just the area, correct?
That's
No,
correct.
yes and no. I mean, the all of the buildings, according to our ordinance, all of the contributing buildings within historic districts are also individually noted and protected if they're contributing to the district. It doesn't make any difference either way. It's not going to affect anything, but so to answer your question, Susan, that's how the
Yes, it is listed.
historic preservation ordinance reads. It takes in everything.
Yes.
All right, so look, so I'll start off then. In my view, this is not a major structural change in any way to the historic church. It changes the look of the front of it a bit, but we can talk about that on whether when we consider whether to approve the application or not. But as far as whether it's a major or minor application, I would deem this to be a minor application. I'd like to hear from other members, though.
I agree with that,
Oh, I think,
and I'd make motion.
Susan and Guy also, you said you good?
yes, I can't see this being a major.
Yep, I agree.
Okay,
Okay, so Tim, you're making a motion to accept it as a minor application?
I do.
Do I hear a second?
second,
Second.
Okay, we don't usually go to the public for this. We won't need to. All in favor of having this as a minor application? Say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so this is gonna be a minor application. See, that part was quick. So now, you've already basically told us almost nearly everything about it. I know members might have questions about materials or other design aspects. So, shoot.
Excuse me,
do,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
this is Fred Kinsler. I just wanted to make note that Carly Quebec just came on. Can you speak?
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
There you go.
Hear you now.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chairman, but I figured that was Mr. Quebec coming in as somebody else.
Yes, my daughter, we're using her laptop instead. So something was wrong with my desktop, and I could hear everybody perfectly fine, but nobody could hear me regardless of calling in or trying to go through my computer for some reason. So my
Again,
apologies.
apologies for the interruption, but I figured that was.
Oh, that's perfect, because now we're gonna have questions, and Mr. Quayle may be able to answer some of our questions, so that's perfect. So, who wants to start with any questions, or?
I have a question. Shari
Okay,
Arcuri.
Shari first, yes.
Okay. The roof is horizontal, and it's going to be covering part of that pointed thing above the door. Okay, see it? Oh, I'm pointing. Nobody can see where I'm pointing.
Yep.
The roof
I
is going to,
understand.
that
Yep.
roof is going to be, yes.
Yep.
Is there some sort of design that could do something different? Like have the roof be something like this so that you could see it? I mean, when I'm looking at the letter, it says the existing pointed arch above the entry will be maintained and visible below the new roof structure. Only when you're entering the building will you see that design. When you're out front or driving by, you won't see that pointed arch. It'll be partially covered.
Excellent point.
I guess the question is that correct? Maybe the architect wants to talk to us about that.
Yes, that's actually correct. We looked at a number of different ways to achieve some type of protective roof at the entry, and one of the struggles that we have is the overall weight and construction of it, and one option we looked at, which became very expensive and even more obtrusive, would require additional columns further out onto the concrete landing. And there were some church members that had a concern over obscuring the pointed arch a little bit. So we tried to keep the detail above the arch without affecting that. Place the roof immediately along that line, and then also tried to keep the roof as high as we could. It's about 9'4" above the concrete slab. So I think what will happen is when you're 3-4 feet from the front concrete step there, you'll still be able to see the pointed arch. But if you're in a vehicle passing by, you would not be able to see that clearly.
Okay.
Good question, Shari.
Yeah, well, I have one more thing.
Absolutely. Keep going.
Above that little point there, it looked like they were outlets. I mean, so is there like electrical work that's going to be done also? I mean, I'm not quite sure what those outlets were. You could see it in the picture.
Yeah, directly above that arch between the semicircular decoration there, that is an electrical outlet. It is not used. So the plans when we hopefully install this roof is to eliminate that outlet and run that circuit to a switch, which is just inside the doors, to a light that will be underneath the new roof, which will illuminate that area.
So you'll have a light right there where the outlet is?
Well, the light will actually be located within the roof itself,
Oh,
and that outlet will actually be eliminated.
okay.
Ken, this is Tim Johnson. Back to Sherry's question, couldn't you put like a small gable in the center? So it was straight on either side, but then just a small gable, so you kind of retain that point, kind of. I don't know if we can see that. I don't think we can.
Yeah, we did look at that, and the only issue with that is that then forces us to put a couple columns out in front of the existing church on the concrete slab.
It couldn't just retain that same, maybe a couple, a bracket where the bottom of the gable comes down. So you have the brackets on the outside, and then another bracket just where in the valley where the small gable comes down.
Yeah, we looked at one of those options, and that was going to require us to do to get pretty involved with the interior structure, the interior framing, in order to be able to support that.
Yeah. Okay.
The way the shed roof is now, we're essentially going to secure a ledger directly across the front, underneath that window and underneath that semicircular trim.
Yeah.
And that's going to bear the brunt of the load. If we were to go to a gable, the load would just be too much, and we would have to put columns out 4 feet out in front of the church.
All right.
Go ahead.
This is Susan. That arch, back to that arch, because it's nice and graceful, and it kind of offsets the tops of the windows that are there. How was that original to the church, that arch that's over the door, or is that something that came about later?
I believe it's been there, and any photos that I've seen from quite a ways back have always had it. So I don't necessarily know the complete history since the day it was constructed, but it's always been there as long as I know.
So this is Shari Arcuri. I did try and do some reading up on it, and I didn't see it listed as something that was added or changed. So that's what I assumed. It's been there a really long time, because the windows and things, everything is mentioned, but that is never mentioned.
It is fairly unique too. That's why it would be. Yeah.
Yes, that's why.
Yeah. But
So I'm looking at a 1908 postcard right now, and yeah, it shows it in 1908. In fact, it almost looks as if the doors are shaped in the entire shape at that time of the
Oh, wow.
of the arch.
No, that would have
That
been
makes
cool.
sense, Tim?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, that would be really neat.
But that's no longer the case, obviously. But
Yeah.
it's hard to tell in the postcard view, but it looks like two completely dark doors that go up to the point. So at least as far as 1908, it always it had it. It looks like, I mean, it looks like it's always, was the design.
Okay.
Is there any, so this is Greg Gillette. So is there any, just at the front edge of the roof there, of the new roof, any architectural, any kind of design element at all? I know you just have a very small, yeah, you're pointing to it right there, thanks. Just, is there any, something you put there to mimic the design? I don't know, maybe I'm,
I thought.
Yeah, I mean,
it might
we
not look
looked at-
right, I don't know.
That's why you're having a small gable there, you know, if we could pull that off without, but the weight is too much, I guess.
yeah, the other issue, Tim, that we looked at with that gable was, instead of removing the siding and really getting into the basic framing of the church, the thought was, can we put a column outside, almost where those pilasters are?
Yeah.
And can we anchor that column to the concrete slab and then just tie it back to the building? And the problem with that is that we have the sloped access ramp on the right side as you're looking at the front of the church. That impedes that too much, which would require reconstruction of the access ramp.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what drove us to go to the freestanding brackets up higher, just to keep that floor area open.
Yeah.
And our overall approach was, with the brackets, just to try to pick up, you know, a curve to complement the curves on the windows and the front entry, but otherwise try to keep it as simple as possible, not to detract from the rest of the church detail.
I know the brackets look good.
Look, it's not objectionable. Are there any other, look, I don't think the design of the church is all that unique. There's other churches like this around. Have any other churches that you know have done something like this?
Not offhand. I do know some churches in Hunterdon County had put some front porticos on, but they were much more involved. You know, they were
A whole portico. Okay.
Yeah, like a four column portico that basically attached to the front, and you know, that would get much more involved here.
Right.
Yeah, keeping it simple is the way to go, for sure.
Yeah.
I said I did go around and look at some churches, and there are many churches that have no roof over the doors. I mean, was that something that was done to save money, or what was the idea of not putting anything over there? I mean, I looked at a lot, and there was a lot that didn't have anything over their doors.
The way colonial construction was. You never had porches or anything.
It's strange. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
To us, it is anyway.
Well, it's a design element. All the porches you see on the houses from the first half of the 19th century are all added later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right up to that period, there were no porches or anything, or any roofs on the entryways.
Yeah, unfortunately, this set of entrance doors faces almost due north. So there's no sun whatsoever. And then we have 3.5 stories of the front church face, and then we have the whole bell tower on top. And the bell tower has a hip roof around it. So all the wind-driven rain and snow that drives against the front of that all finds its way down right to the base of the doors. You know, as Gene mentioned earlier, when I was trying to log on, it's always just a hazard with icing and snow and trying to keep that clear all the time.
I can understand that for sure.
Is this something that can be reversed? in the future without too much destruction.
Sure.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's definitely a consideration of mine. I mean, I'd like to see that it be able to be reversed, and I don't know, if somebody 20 years from now wanted to return to the old design.
Yeah, that could be easily done. I mean, the siding would have to be replaced, but this is essentially a bolt-on solution that just anchors to the structure, and it's going to be a little bit of an expedition once they remove the siding to see exactly what we have to tie into. Because although the roof is only 4 feet by about 14 feet, it's still going to be pretty heavy. So we have to find something, and we might even have to supplement the structure within that exterior wall there. Worst case would be having to put a piece of tube steel or something and anchoring that down somehow just to provide the necessary reinforcement.
I would think in the location where those brackets are going to be, there should be some, fairly substantial, columns behind that, I would think.
I hope so.
So I have another question or request. So in a number of places we're talking about using composite. This is an old structure, and we don't need to use composite here. We can use cedar or some other mahogany, or although the mahogany is wood, the cedar would be better since it's lighter to do this. As long as cedar is protected properly, it's the proper material to use.
Right. The only comment I would say to that, and I might let Gene speak to that a little bit further, is that at some point, almost the entire structure was re-sided with vinyl and vinyl wrapped trim. And I believe at that time there was significant discussion as to whether or not it was advantageous to register the building itself. And at the time when they envisioned all the improvements, the window replacements that have been done, the re-siding, I think it was determined by consistory and the members of the church that it was best not to tie themselves up with that. So
well, that wouldn't restrict the registration of the building using the composite material. It's more a philosophical thing. This globe, our Earth, is becoming plasticized, and it's becoming dangerous. Now, I've used composite in the past, and I vowed I will not use it anymore. You cut that stuff, what is usually sawdust is now little plastic dust that goes into the ground and gets into everything. And as if you've been reading, our oceans are full of it, our fish are full of it. It's becoming a health hazard. So if we can avoid doing that, I understand, a few years ago when the church was re-sided, it seemed like the thing to do for longevity and for cost reasons, but there's other reasons to avoid that. And especially this is such a small amount. If it can be avoided, I think we should do that. That should be done.
right. Okay.
Would you still paint the wood white to match the rest of the church?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wood is paint. Church is white. It's a wooden church originally,
okay.
and most of it is. A good oil-based primer, a couple good top coats, latex top coats, and it'll last many years. I restored the front facade and doors and columns and pilasters of the Neshannock Reformed Church just down the road about 5 years ago, and did a lot of restoration work using epoxy. So that was another, when I heard that the doors were being replaced, that's something, I'm going to stop by and look at, is whether those are restorable. I did work on those doors also because they're subject to the same kind of thing. It doesn't face the same direction, but there's no overhang there either. And so you get
Right.
constant splash. And so I did a lot of restoration work there, and it's, you know, it's what it looked like when it was built, and will last even longer now. So I will
Susan?
stop and take a look at those doors just to see what they look like.
All right, and anyone else, any other questions? I'm gonna ask, to see if we have any public.
Yeah, this is Susan. I have one
All right, Susan.
question. Looking at the plans, those, in quilting, they call them clamshells. I think you called them fish scale. Those
Scale, yeah.
are, yeah, those are being maintained, right? Those are staying there?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, that would be one option with, you know, saving the point over the doors, you know, push the whole thing up a little, and then you lose that decorative,
Right.
Right.
I don't know what you call that. It's not dental since it's rounded, but I guess that's the trade you could make.
Yeah, that was the first, our first go round was to retain the electrical outlet there, move this up. But the only, really the only wood on that front facade there is really that trim and then the trim up above it. So, and that was a concern by some of the members. They'd rather see that retained, and then have the roof lowered a little bit.
Okay.
Do we have any, Fred, do we have any members of the public that would like to get on? I'll
Yes,
ask
I
public
see
now.
somebody has their hand raised, so we'll allow them to talk.
All right, so they need to state their name and
Yep.
address before they speak.
So again, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Please state your name and address for the record, please. I think it's *9 or *6 to unmute yourself on the phone. There you go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, this is Arnold Ratty. I'm a
Okay,
board
Arnold.
member.
Oh,
You don't have to state your name, just let us know
All right,
you're here.
You're supposed to be here.
Yeah, I know, but I've been trying to get through for a half hour, and I could hear you, what was going on, but nobody was responding back to me.
I'm sorry, Arnold.
Good
We
to have
couldn't hear
Arnold.
you, Arnold, because you were muted.
Okay,
know,
Arnold, so I'm gonna check
Times.
you as present. Okay, Arnold, what do you got?
Nothing, just trying to get through to you so you know I'm here.
All right, well, I'm going to leave you unmuted, Arnold.
Okay, so you can be
Okay,
unmuted.
thank you.
Any other public with their hands raised there?
There are no other public on that have their hand raised.
All right, so look, I'm reluctant to deny an application like this that can be reversed, if need be. You know, to me, I'd be reluctant to deny it. They want it. They've been good stewards of the church, as far as I can tell. So that's just me. Anybody else have any last comments?
Oh, I agree, and it's a positive move. It will, you know, protects the door. It's constantly exposed to weather and drip, and that's why we put porches on things these days.
Yeah.
That's right. I agree.
Shari?
Greg, this is Arnold again.
Yeah, Arnold, go ahead.
Yeah, going back to where you were talking earlier, there is no other Dutch Reformed church in Somerset County or the area that has that design. And the South Branch Church, that doesn't have an issue because the doors are recessed into the building, and they have the sort of portico there in the front of it, so they don't have that problem. But in terms of what you were talking about earlier, there's no other Reformed church I know of in Somerset County or in the area that has that design.
Maybe I was thinking of the Reddington Church, but maybe I don't have in Three Bridges, but maybe I don't have that. Maybe I'm not thinking of the right church.
Well, the Reddington Church is not in Three Bridges. That's off of Reddington Road there, Old York Road.
All right, whatever church is in Three Bridges then.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one in a long time. I can't picture what that one's like.
Across the street from the firehouse.
Yeah, it's been a while. I can't remember what it looks like.
All right, but but I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Arnold. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
Oh, this seems like it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, it doesn't seem drastic. It seems, look, they've employed an architect that's gonna, do a good job with it. They're not putting it up themselves with some contractor. I mean, well, obviously a contractor, but I mean, they've got somebody looking after it. That all points to, that all points to it being done well. So, do we want to? And Tim, by the way, I think I appreciate your comments about the materials. I don't know if we can require it on this because there's just so much already
We can.
done. I mean,
Sure we can.
I guess we could, but
Sure we can.
well, that's a consideration. Do you want to require to not use
Yes.
composite? I mean, that's a tough precedent to make. I mean, they're trying to, preserve the church.
Yes.
I know.
We are preserving the church and we're
I-
trying to keep it as much and, well, for all the reasons I said. There's no reason it can't be, made of wood. Cedar specifically would be the best.
What would be the difference in price between composite and wood?
Probably.
A lot,
well,
a little?
I couldn't say. The cedar, because of the way things are these days, it's a little tougher to get cedar, but again, it's not a ton. So I couldn't say.
You're not roofing an entire house or anything, or
No, you're not siding a whole house. It's a couple of,
It's just a strip.
it's
Okay.
56 square foot.
and as well as the brackets themselves, but it's all can be done.
Yeah, one of the concerns that we had was just being able to ventilate the roof itself. So with perforated soffit material at the underside, we wanted to make sure that the area between the rafters would be ventilated, and it makes it a little bit more difficult using cedar on the entire underside.
Well, that's not required. I mean, you could use aluminum. That's fine also.
Right. Yep. That would be fine.
All right. I think, are we ready? I mean, Tim, are you proposing that we make a requirement on this approval?
I would like to do that. I don't think
Anybody else?
I don't think it burdens it,
Mr. Quebec, architecturally, is there another reason by the weight or the protection from water? Although I think Mr. Johnson said paint could take care of that. Is there any
Always
other
has.
reason that you would prefer one over the other?
There's I mean, there's a couple lines of thought. One is just from a practical standpoint. The church has evolved in such a way it's getting increasingly harder to find members committing themselves to providing time out of their day and weeks and weekends to keep up with the maintenance and the ongoing projects that are going on. And the congregation itself has been aging, and there's been less and less people in it. Gene can speak to it, but there are a couple people that pretty much do all of the work, with rare exceptions. So one concern that we had was just that when we do proceed, like when we looked at the windows years ago and we looked at updating the unit heaters and replacing the boiler, is always looking at long-term, what's the best in terms of low maintenance, less involvement by the congregation. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is the PVC materials allowed us a little bit more flexibility because I'm not quite sure yet what these brackets are going to be made out of. They may end up being a more dense material like oak or Doug fir or something like that, which could certainly be painted or stained, but they're also curved, which presents an issue with trying to find, materials to clad it if we ended up having to clad it. So there's some concerns out there.
Why would you have to clad it? These things have been made for centuries out of wood and protected and lasted. If they're covered properly, like I said, a high quality oil-based primer and a couple coats of top quality paint, that will last for, especially in this situation, 15 years, I'll say.
Right. Hopefully the carpenter bees don't find it interesting and
They don't like cedar. Cedar is bug resistant and rot resistant. We should know that.
Yeah, well, we're not going to make these brackets out of cedar, though. That's for sure.
Well, they won't be eaten into oak either. But again, good quality paint keeps that away, keeps those vermin away.
Right.
Well, Tim, I appreciate your, views on it. Absolutely. I regard it highly. I don't know if any other commissioners are on board with that. Anybody want to make that qualification?
Well, I'll make it and see. I say we accept the application with the recommendation. I don't know how we want to say this, Greg. That we avoid using composite material.
Maybe I have to ask Patrick because he knows the language. Mm-hmm. If you make a recommendation, you want to have a binding recommendation?
You can make a recommendation either way to update the plan to the conditions of your approval.
Right. So do you want to have this as a condition of the approval?
Yes.
To exactly what? To
use natural materials in this construction.
Use natural materials in the construction.
Composite materials.
And not use the composite materials. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so you make the motion to approve the application with that condition. If there's anyone that agrees with that condition, you can second that and we can vote on that. But if no one wants to besides Tim wants to put that condition on, then that'll fail. But I mean, it'll fail.
Greg.
Yes.
This is Arnold. Does the church have any? Does the architect have any problem with that being put in there?
I think he made a good argument. I mean, he made his argument that the upkeep, even for the small amount of painting, whatever that they would have to do, and the other upkeep is getting more difficult. We heard his arguments; they're valid also.
I will also add that composite needs upkeep also.
Yes, that's true. Mold and stuff like that. I mean, it's north facing, so you have to clean it, right?
And actually, it should be painted to protect it properly.
Well, I would think that's a given.
All right. So you've heard there's a motion on the floor, I guess, from Tim to accept the application with the condition for use of natural and materials and not composite.
We eliminate the use of the composite.
Right. Eliminate use. So do I hear a second?
I second it.
Okay. Oh yeah, I was going to ask for Tim Stoller to do a roll call, but he's not here. So, all right. So this is this. So if you don't like, if you good with this, vote yes when I call your name. If you're not, vote no. You know how to vote. Ms. Arcuri.
No.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Ratty.
Yes.
Mr. Cunningham,
No,
Ms. Gulliford,
No,
Chairman Gillette. I'm gonna have to vote no on it. I can't put the restriction on it. Sorry. But
We're a historic preservation group.
I know.
Hey,
I
Greg,
got you.
How do people, what do you think?
Well, it wouldn't have, we would be 3-3 if I voted yes. But I'm, so I'm voting no on it.
Greg, this is
Yeah.
Arnold.
Yep.
Yeah, I reversed. I wasn't quite following this. I wrote no also.
Okay, all right. Okay, regardless, Arnold, the motion, Tim's motion didn't pass.
Okay, good.
Does somebody want to make a motion without the condition? Anybody?
is there any way the motion can be worded to encourage that use, or would that just be part of your comments?
We've done that before. We have said things like, to use natural materials to the extent possible. We've given all the wiggle room. I don't know if anyone ever does it.
Unless you get a true restoration contractor, they're gonna take the easiest way out, and that would be using the composite.
All right. I'm waiting for a motion.
All right, I'll do it, but I don't know how to say it.
You just
I
say,
make a mo-
to
I
accept
make
the
a motion-
application. To
I
accept the
make a
application
motion
as
that we,
presented.
I make a motion that we accept the application as presented.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I second it.
Okay, Arnold, all right, Arnold. All right. Discussion? Okay, I'll do another roll call. Ms. Arcuri,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Nope.
Mr. Ratty,
Yes.
Mr. Cunningham,
yes,
Ms. Gulliford,
Yes,
Chairman Gillette, yes, okay. Passes, congratulations. You have heard our comments. Please do a good job. That's all we ask. Do a good job on the church. Please.
Good job.
Well, what can I, this is it. We're doing a good job.
First of all, they're not doing it.
Well, they're overseeing it. That's important too.
Well, just if I can make a comment, I mean, this isn't something that we put together in a week's time and submitted for approval. It's something that's been kicked around the church for quite some time. And actually, before submitting to the township to get your input,
The motion's been approved.
there was quite a bit of input and back and forth amongst the church members and the property team and things of that nature. So I think it's fair to say that Gene and I will take the comments that were made today back to these folks that have been more or less taking the lead, and we'll express to them, what your concerns are. And we're certainly not taking the cheapest, easiest way out. We're in excess of $20,000 for new custom front doors with hardware and things of that nature. So, and that doesn't even begin to address the roof. So,
Right,
I
we
understand
appreciate your
and
comments.
appreciate that, Ken.
that-
You do a good job.
The application, okay, the application is approved. We appreciate your comments. Thank you very much for appearing tonight.
all right,
Good
thank you
luck on
very
your
much.
project.
Thanks.
You can,
thank you,
you can
everybody.
sign off if you don't want us to attend the rest of the meeting. All right. I don't think we have any current committees out right now working on anything. At this time also, I can mention, I think this might be the appropriate time to mention that Deborah sent out a survey to see if would like to switch most of next year to the third Thursday of each month instead of the last Thursday, which is typically the fourth, sometimes the fifth. And that's because the planning board meets on the second and fourth Thursday. And if we're going to continue for some time as in these virtual meetings, the the IT staff whatever can only do one meeting per night. They can't do a planning board meeting and our meeting when they both fall on the fourth Thursday. So if you haven't replied to her about that, answer that email. Hopefully we can make the third Thursday work, at least for the first set of, the first several months. Maybe the whole year if it works out, if people rather just keep it the third Thursday. Better parking. When they have a crazy planning board meeting, those fourth Thursdays, and we're parking pretty far out sometimes. So that might be a consideration. All right, so that's that. I have to report, we got a letter back from the Somerset Department of Public Works regarding the Brook Bridge rehabilitation. We sent a letter from the commission summarizing what our requests were after their presentation. We got the letter back. I think it's within the, it was in your documents.
Yep.
So basically they said, it's going to remain a one-lane bridge. They said it's going to have a weight limit. I don't think they didn't tell us what the weight limit's going to be. I don't know what control they have over that. They did agree to put a marker, install a stark marker providing information on the history and significance of the bridge as an early stone and arch bridge of Somerset County. They haven't determined the location for that yet. We also asked if they would consider installing a second similar historic marker by the Cattail Brook Bridge, which is very close by. They said that they can't do something like that as part of this project at all because they have some state funding with this. So they can't, even if they wanted to or had extra money, they can't mingle that. And I understand that. But they seemed open to the idea of doing that in the future. Okay, so that takes care of that.
Hey, Greg, one more comment about that.
Yes,
They mark my video. It's not seeing up. He also went before the State Historical Preservation Commission, and I believe they received approval through them too. So
I think Sherry attended on that. Did you, Sherry?
Yeah, with the one online, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Yes, okay, so look, they'll go ahead, they'll do it. I didn't like the way it was gonna look necessarily, but it is what it is. Okay, so I said that we would go back to before we adjourn, any other business, consider any other old business from the commission. Do we have any word from anyone about the investigation into the fire at the Diamond Jim Brady house? Is that still under investigation?
Greg?
Yes.
This is Arnold. I've been checking on that. I don't think they've publicly announced what has it, but I think the preliminary findings was that maybe arson was involved, but they haven't finalized anything or put out any kind of a statement yet.
Well, okay, so we'll wait till we hear something. But
Right.
Thank you, Arnold, for being on top of it. You report back to us in January if you hear anything. Anyone else?
The other thing, Greg, in terms of talking with Deborah, I told her that I agreed with the third Thursday of the month, and I asked her about the virtual meetings, and she said it doesn't look like we'd be out of that until at least March or April.
Okay. I don't like them. I mean, I do these. I had a meeting this morning for a committee for school board. I have the whole school board meetings where you have to go to a room, but you're still virtual. You got the headset on. You're sitting alone by yourself with somebody spaced out 10 feet away from you, sitting at a desk with headphones and looking at a computer. It's just going to be a rough one for a while yet.
I don't like it either, but that's the way it is. And
It is what it is.
It is what it is,
Yeah.
as I said
yeah,
before.
I'm sorry that there was some confusion with figuring out what you guys were saying, because I'm on the phone. I don't have the computer, so I'm sorry for waffling back and forth.
No problem. All right, so if there's nothing else, I'm going to wish everyone happy holidays.
All right.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Enjoy, with your virtual family over the Zoom.
In your social bubble.
And unless anybody has anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, from the township, Greg, I want to thank you and the committee this year for your volunteering and helping getting through some of these difficult times and transitioning from this online format. I know it hasn't been easy, but I just want to thank everyone for their time and their dedication still with the historical preservation of Hillsborough.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. I think my term is up. Susan, I think, is up, even though she's just appointed. I don't know if anyone else is up, but you might see us back. We'll find out at the beginning of January if we're coming back. I hope I come back.
And there's still one vacant seat, I believe, right, Mr. Gillette?
Yes,
Yes.
it's still, this seat number 5 is vacant. So there's one vacancy and a few of our, I don't know who else is the other one. Maybe I don't know who else. Maybe it's Arnold. I don't know. But
I also want to give a thank you to Fred for helping us out with the IT
oh yes,
stuff.
thank you, Fred, also. Since we only came back in September.
Right.
But I know you've been working on it all year long.
You're very welcome. I'm glad we're able to do it. And I, like you, Greg, I pray that we get in person as soon as possible.
Yeah, look, and for the people and for Susan, well, Susan, you attend a lot of our meetings anyway over the years. But Shari hasn't. It's different. It's a different experience in person. I hope you continue into next year when we meet in person, because it is a great group. I've been on this for about 15 years now, and it's a great group to actually be together and to do these applications, but to also discuss the best ways to promote historic preservation in the town, which we could do much better, easier in person, where we're not tying up the IT person or the planner, assistant planner, anybody on the call. So that's it. Motion to adjourn. Anybody make a motion?
Make
I
motion.
make a motion. Yeah.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, first and second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, 8:35. Thank you very much. See you on
Happy
the other side.
holidays. Happy
Thank you,
holidays.
everybody.
Happy holidays all.